Hello, my name is Junko Matsuzaki Carreira from Tokyo Keizai University and Naoko Shioda, Tokyo Future University. We'll talk about the tea ceremony cultural teaching practices for Chinese university students, a preliminary study for the development of the English teaching materials of Japanese tea ceremony. First, introduction. The tea ceremony is described as an intellectual practice for acquiring knowledge, featuring a tea technical aspect focused on defining one's manners, a spiritual component rooted in Zen teachings, and a social dimension involving gathering in tea rooms. Additionally, tea ceremony provides a sense of relaxation, and the global recognition of Japanese cuisine as World Heritage Site in 2013 has increased interest in Japanese food and matcha, powdered green tea. Consequently, there has been an increase in foreigners intrigued by the tea ceremony and those visiting Japan to experience the tea ceremony. The global talent development extends beyond learning foreign languages like English. It begins with understanding Japan and its culture. Hence, Carreira 2022 developed teaching materials for the English instruction of Japanese tea ceremony, conducting practical research with Japanese university students in Tokyo. However, it remains uncertain whether the material and the knowledge acquired in these classes align with actual interest in the curiosity of foreigners. Thus, this study represents a preliminary survey to develop English teaching material for the tea ceremony that reflect the need and interest of foreign learners. And specifically, this study aims to clarify what aspect of the tea ceremony foreigners are interested in, what they consider important, and furthermore, what specific aspect they wish to delve deeper into. So, purpose of the study again. This study is preliminary study for creating teaching material for the development of global human resources who can communicate their own, in this case, Japanese culture, such as the tea ceremony, to the world in English. In particular, this study aims to clarify what foreigners are interested in, what they find important, and what they would like to know more about the tea ceremony, create teaching materials reflecting foreigners' interests and concerns. And participants and lessons. Due to the impact of COVID pandemic, the classes were conducted online using the class-in system. In 2 weeks, in July 2020, there are 47 students on the roster, but actual participation in the classes of 41 students. The first week focused on learning Japanese culture and language through Japanese anime, while the second week centered on Japanese culture and language through the study of the tea ceremony. Lessons 9 and 10 cover the spiritual and history of the tea ceremony in English. Lessons 11 through 15 involve the use of videos that allow the student to learn about the tea ceremony in both English and Japanese. These videos, based on the Urasenke School of Tea Ceremony, one of the 3 main schools of Japanese tea ceremony, were produced and supervised by instructors who teaches tea ceremony at the University of Hawaii, and furthermore edited by the lead author. Additionally, students were instructed to prepare their chawan. Chawan is a tea bowl, chasen tea whisk, and matcha powdered green tea, so they could make the tea. This is the plan, lessons 9 through 16. And the method? After the last lesson, the students were asked to answer the following 3 questions. What was the most interesting things you learned in the Japanese tea ceremony? What was the most important thing you learned in the Japanese tea ceremony? What do you want to learn more about and why? And in this study, we conducted the content analysis of these three responses to clarify what foreigners are interested in, what they find important, and what they want to learn more about the tea ceremony. And the next result, we categorize the student responses to above three questions by content. The following represent responses related to what participants found most interesting about learning the Japanese tea ceremony. And regarding wagashi, wagashi is Japanese sweet, 30 students. And regarding making and drinking tea, 11 students. Regarding comparison with China, 3. Regarding the history of the tea ceremony, 3. Regarding the tea ceremony utensils, 3. And table 2 responses regarding what is important in Japanese tea ceremony. And regarding etiquette and manners, 70 students. And related to spirits and religion, 8. And regarding Rikyu's 7 rules and Wake Seijak, this is some tea ceremony spirits, and 8 students. Regarding comparison with China, 6. And regarding making tea, 4 students. And table 3 responses regarding what Chinese students like to learn more about the tea ceremony. And tea in general, 8 students. And differences with China, 5. And differences between schools of tea ceremony, 4. And current knowledge of the tea ceremony in general, 3. And wagashi, Japanese sweets, 3. And kimono, 2 students. And let's move to discussion. And the most common response regarding the most interesting aspect of learning the Japanese tea ceremony was wagashi, and 30 respondents. And this is probably because they find it interesting that the Japanese tea ceremony has the rules on how to eat sweets. And whereas they usually eat sweets casually and freely, and furthermore, in terms of their desire to learn more about the Japanese tea ceremony, and 3 students expressed an interest in learning about wagashi. These aspects suggest that many of the students participating in this research were particularly interested in wagashi. Similarly, Yamamoto, 2018, reported that many students from Malaysia liked mame daifuku, some Japanese sweets of the red bean paste wrapped with beans with mixed rice, thin rice cake, and asked for another one instead of another cup of tea. One of them mentioned the tea and wagashi experiments the most interesting in the program. And also Karatsu, enjoying tea and sweets was one of the 3 best things that the student experienced in the tea ceremony. In this way, for foreigners, eating wagashi in the tea ceremony seems to the most enjoyable aspect. On the other hand, in this study, we only provided instruction on the consumption of higashi. Higashi is dry confectionery. During the usucha temae, usucha temae is some thin tea procedure. However, in the tea ceremony, there is a specific manner of consuming not only higashi, but also omogashi. Omogashi is the most Japanese confectionery, served with koicha temae. Koicha temae is a 6-tea procedure. Therefore, it would be advisable to create a teaching material that covers not only higashi, but also the manner of consuming omogashi. And the second most common response regarding what students found interesting about learning Japanese tea ceremony was related to making and drinking tea, with 11 participants mentioning it. Furthermore, in responses related to what students considered important in learning Japanese tea ceremony, 4 students wrote about the significance of actually making tea. Additionally, in responses related to what students found interesting about learning the Japanese tea ceremony, 3 students mentioned comparison with China. Furthermore, in responses related to what students consider important in learning Japanese tea ceremony, 6 students included descriptions of the significance of comparing Japanese tea ceremony with Chinese. While Japanese tea originated in China, it is noteworthy that Japanese tea ceremony differs significantly from the Chinese tea culture. Moreover, in terms of what students want to learn more about regarding a tea ceremony, 5 students expressed a desire to learn about it through the lens of comparison with China. In responses concerning what students found interesting about learning the Japanese tea ceremony, 3 students mentioned an interest in the history of the tea ceremony. Similarly, in responses related to what students consider important and what they wanted to learn more about in Japanese tea ceremony, 2 students expressed an interest in the history of tea ceremony. Regarding what they thought was important in learning Japanese tea ceremony, 16 respondents answered that it was related to spirits and religion, including wake seijak, harmony, respect, purity, and tranquility. Thus, it can be said that through this course, some students developed the interest in the history, religion, and the spiritual aspect of tea ceremony. Therefore, when creating material for Japanese students, it can be said that there is a need for material that enable students to express tea ceremony, Japanese history, and religion in English. Furthermore, the most frequently mentioned aspect identified by 70 students was etiquette, which they consider to be crucial in the context of a tea ceremony. Among them, 4 students especially mentioned bowing. This is likely because in this course we provided explanation and practical experiments of 3 types of bow. Although detailed explanation about the tea itself were rarely provided in this course, when it came to what students want to learn more about, 8 students expressed interest in various aspects of tea, including different types of tea and how it is made. They were curious about the tea in a broader sense, demonstrating that some students are not only interested in the tea ceremony, but also in the topic of the tea itself. Furthermore, 4 students expressed an interest in learning more about the differences between various tea ceremony schools, and 3 students wanted more about the contemporary development of tea ceremony. Although this course provided a detailed explanation about the Urasenke School of Tea Ceremony, it did not delve deeply into other schools on the current state of the tea ceremony. From these responses, it can be anticipated that foreign students are more interested in acquiring broader knowledge of subjects such as tea ceremony and tea as a part of their cultural education, rather than focusing extensively on single school. So conclusion. So as a result of Chinese students learning tea ceremony online, it was found that despite being online, participating students enjoy activities such as making and drinking tea, as well as learning how to consume traditional Japanese tea. And they expressed a desire to further explore these ceremony practices. So, it is advisable to reflect on these results, including not only the fundamental practice of tea ceremony, but also knowledge related to tea ceremony. and thank you for listening.